Hey everybody, welcome to the Tone Church. Look what I got, mother. Yeah, check that sucker out. We are not messing around today. This belongs to Buddy. He's saying that when he turns the amp off of standby, or into standby, off of standby, when he puts it into launch mode, it's blowing the 500 milliamp fuse. Which is the UB plus high tension fuse, the one that protects, you know what I mean. It's blowing the little fuse, not the mains fuse. Although, when I checked the fuses, there's two B plus fuses, one of them was blown, and the mains fuse was also blown, so who the hell knows what's going on here. But we're going to try and figure out what's going on here and see if we can't fix it. And then this has been sitting in a basement for, a couple decades. She needs a good service. So we'll do that too. So if all that sounds interesting to you, and why wouldn't it, right? JCM 900. The last of the great Mohegans. Alright, if that all sounds interesting to you, stay tuned. Here we go. Hey, it's the Tone Priest from the editing room here. I needed to go back to the future to add a little piece to the diagnosis puzzle here, as we're trying to Columbo out the problem.
Oh, here we go. No, that doesn't work either.
When Buddy dropped the amp off, the first thing I did was remove the tubes. And then I replaced the fuse, checked and replaced the fuses with known good ones of the appropriate value. And then I plugged it into the current limiter on the Variac. I dialed it up to about 100 volts, and it didn't blow any fuses. And the current draw looked, reasonable. Looked like it should be. So, to me, that indicates it was probably a short in one or more of the tubes. That's what I was thinking. That's what was in my head at the time of the next clip. So without further ado, let's watch the next clip. Alright, so we have all of the tubes for the JCM 900 here, and they're all groove tubes. And one thing I thought that was interesting is I always thought a JCM 900 used EL34s, but these are 6L6s. And then look at one of these. Two of the four, you can tell by the printing on the glass that these have kind of been cooked a little bit. The two on the left, the two on the right, not quite as bad. But anyway, so we got the old tube tester out and checking the preamp tubes for shorts right now. So let's get that out of the way. Let's see what we got here. If this light goes on and stays on, then it has a short, except for switch 5. So, in which case that should stay on. But good. Switch 5, light on, good. Alright, that's good. What are we doing here? Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Testing tubes. But, long story short, the power tubes all tested good for shorts. They didn't have any shorts, and they all tested good for quality, except for this guy. It's tested good for shorts, but the quality, the needle didn't budge. So I would expect if we're blowing fuses, the tube would have a short in it, but didn't. So that's like, damn. Easy solution escaped us. But yeah, this guy is testing completely dead for quality. So maybe we're back with bad tubes for being the reason why this amp is blowing fuses. But anyway, I'm going to continue testing the remaining preamp tubes, and then we'll test them for quality and move on with our little hunt for the problem with this amplifier. Alright, testing for quality on the 12AX7 preamp tubes here, and need a new one of those for sure. It's low and getting lower. How low can you go? check this out. Testing the third 12AX7. I didn't catch it on video. It slowly went up to about 20, and now it's going backwards back to 0 on the number 7 triode. Let's try the number 2. Oop, this side looks pretty good. Yeah, not looking good. Definitely need new preamp tubes. Can she or can't she? Oh, she's got a little life in her. These shouldn't take this long to get up in the good zone. This should be like...
That's what she said. Or he said.
So these tubes are kind of screwed. On the borderline. Just like Madonna. Was that Madonna? It's Madonna in my head. Alright, yeah, this is riveting entertainment. Yeah, she needs new tubes. Alright, let's have some fun here. As a control for this experiment, here's Marshall's last preamp tube that's toast. Take you out. Got this nice black plate Raytheon that I bought off the old eBay. Let's plug her in and see what happens. Let her heat up for a second. Alright, what will she do? Apparently not much. Here we go, she's heating up. She's getting hot. There you go, that's what I'm talking about right there. There you go. Good tube. She's got a little wear and tear on her. Usually the, well, no, can't say that. She's going up to 70. Yeah, around 70 is new old stock for a, or bogey, whatever you want to call it, for an AX7 that I've found. Now she's dipping a little bit. What was it, 7? Wham. Yeah, it's a good tube. Be a good little tube right there. Okay, enough playing around. Let's fix this thing. Alright, we have the chassis out of the cabinet. And you can tell that this thing is completely coated in basement gunk. Ugh. What else can we tell here? We have the original LCR filter caps. Those should probably be changed. Yikes. What awaits us on the other side? Let's find out. Alright, we're in the inside of the JCM 900, and I gotta say it looks a lot better than the outside. She looks almost brand new in here. Except for, you know, little bits of rust here and there, but that's okay. Ooh, what's going on here, guys? Is that by choice? You know, she looks really good. The power resistors aren't cooked. You know, the tube sockets seem to be intact. No funkiness going on there. And these JCM 900s are nicer than the modern Marshalls. The tube sockets are mounted directly to the chassis, which is nice, rather than having the tube sockets mounted directly to the circuit board. Because as you can imagine, you know, if you're in there manhandling a tube to pull it out or put it back in, you know, you're stressing the circuit board and breaking solder connections, etc. But yeah, she looks pretty good. So I'm going to keep inspecting here, see if I can find any funkiness, but fingers crossed, let's hope and pray that all this problem was a bad power tube. Alright, wish me luck. Okay, so here's the thing. When Buddy brought the amp over, I took all the tubes out. I plugged it into the current limiter on the Variac. I replaced the blown fuses with good ones, and I powered it on. Took it off standby, and this didn't glow. If it did glow brightly, it would indicate there's a dead short somewhere in the circuit. So, you know, that's leading us to believe that there's a short in one of the tubes. But anyway, this amplifier was energized recently, and if we check the DC voltage on the filter caps, they hold their voltage. So very important to be safe, and we need to discharge these caps every time the amp is energized. Okay, I can tell already this is going to be fun. We have our schematic, JCM 900, and it says it is for 4100, model 4100. And trying to look for the bias adjustment. It says PR1, right? And R30 should be connected to it, which is a 56K. So we're over here. Well, we don't have a PR1, but we have a VR1. And if we look at these big giant power resistors, these are going to be your screen resistors. It's R31, R32, R33, and R34. If we look on the schematic, we have 33, 34, R35, and R36. So, yeah, this is going to be fun. We do not have a completely accurate roadmap, so we're going to be freeballing it a little bit here, but I think we can manage. I don't think this thing has a lot of problems. I'm almost 90% sure that the problem was with that power tube. And the other thing, I don't know if I mentioned, this had 4 6L6s in it. And this is supposed to have, I believe, EL34s. Does it say that anywhere? I'm sure it says it somewhere, but yeah, EL34s. So the owner doesn't know if when he got those tubes they were just, popped in there and here you go, have fun, or if this was biased correctly for the new tubes. But we're going to go back to stock and use EL34s and obviously check the bias and make sure she's healthy. But so far so good. Feeling good about this project. Okay, tested the big filter can caps here. Still in circuit. We need to disconnect the wires and test them again. But we have this one section over here that's not being used. And it's supposed to be a 50 microfarad capacitor, plus or minus 20%. So that gives you plus or minus 10. 60 would be at the high end, and it was reading about 66 microfarads. And this thing has not been being used, so that's not a good sign. But that could have drifted due to age and not being used. But we'll disconnect these and test them again. But chances are, these need to be replaced. If money weren't an object, then they should be replaced just due to their age. They're past their shelf life, and it'd be a good idea to replace them, because if one of these guys fails, you could take out your transformers, and then you'll really be into some serious money. Alright, so we're really honing in on the killer here. I tested the resistance of these 5 power resistors. This guy measured 100 ohms on the dot. This guy measured 470 ohms on the dot. This guy measured like 469. And then these two were off by a little bit, 467 and 466, something like that, which is amazing, even after all these years. I mean, you can't get good new power resistors to be that close to, what they're supposed to be. But I don't know if you can tell here, these two were bang dead on. These two were off by a few ohms, but they're just slightly discolored, ever so slightly darker than these two. And this was the fuse that kept blowing, so I have a feeling, it's the tube problem or something, with this this side of the the power section, these two tubes. So, yeah, we're honing in on a killer.
Jack the Ripper was, in fact, the Loch Ness Monster.
Still thinking it was just a tube. Let's hope so. Okay, I desoldered the leads from this filter can capacitor. So now we can test it for its capacitance. It's supposed to be 50 microfarad. I believe it's plus or minus 20%. So that would mean it goes from anywhere from 40 to 60 would be good. So let's see what we got here. Survey says, ding, 63 and change. So we're a little out of tolerance there. And this guy here, 67, almost 68. So we're definitely out of tolerance on that one. So it's unfortunate, but you know, might be a good idea to change this. Let's do the same for the other one now. Gotta desolder the leads first. Here's something I just noticed here. This first filter stage here, it's a 2-section can cap, and both sections are tied together in parallel, and they're filtering the high voltage going to the center tap of our output transformer. But if we look over here, let's get a light on the scene here. So we're right here. Can't really see shit. That brown wire is the wire that goes to the center tap of the output transformer, and it was soldered onto the red terminal. But the other section of this capacitor wasn't tied into anything. So I'm not sure what I should do here when I replace this can capacitor, if I should just wire it the way it was, or if I should tie these two together as shown on the schematic. And as we know, the schematic has a couple of little differences here and there, so something to ponder. Alright, so I've been doing research on this amplifier here. I've been cramming like I've been cramming for, you know, a college final exam. I'd like to thank the Guitarologist Locals community for their help, and also Guitar CPR for his great videos. I've learned a lot from those, and definitely coming up with a plan of attack to service this sucker. Couple of things. Let's see if I can find them here. It's got a problem with the, hope I'm pointing at the right ones. The grid stopper resistors for the power tubes. We've got, I don't know if you can see this. You can see this tube and this tube have them mounted directly to the tube socket, but these two tubes are getting them over here. And there's an error from the factory where two tubes are getting 1.5K of resistance, and with this error, the other two tubes are getting 3K of resistance. So that'll throw your bias all off, and you'll never get these tubes to run, you know, matched. So what we're going to do is going to put jumpers in here, and we're going to mount all the grid stopper resistors to the tube sockets like they did here and here. So that's problem one. Problem two is this capacitor, which is in with your bias circuit, is rated for like 200 or 250 volts. And Guitar CPR put this, he measured the voltage that's going through here, and he measured 311 volts. So if this hasn't failed yet, it will fail eventually. So we're going to replace him with probably a 630 volt rated capacitor. Researching the amp, trying to figure out what model it is. I mean, it's a Model 4100, but there's several different types of Model 4100. There's usually a hyphen and then blah, blah, blah. But all the models with EL34s have, I believe it's 2.2K screen resistors. And I found one schematic, and only one schematic, that had 470 ohm resistors. And that schematic is calling for 5881s. So we've solved the mystery of what kind of power tubes we want to stick in here. And I measured the resistance and all these, and these are all, you know, spot on bogey. So these ain't broke. We ain't going to fix them. So we're going to go with 5881s, unless I learned something new. What else are we going to do? We're going to change these guys out, because, again, you want to have a nice, robust bias circuit. So we'll replace those. And, yeah, the other problem, Guitar CPR also found was on one of the ones that he serviced. You know, one of the sections wasn't wired up. These are supposed to be wired in parallel. So we'll do that when we get the F and T's in here. And I think that's about it. We'll do that stuff, and then we'll fire her up and see where we're at when we get there. So we're going to have to order some parts, wait for those to come in. Alright, we got a little pro tip here. So we need to order replacements for these two electrolytic capacitors. They are radial capacitors. And when you're ordering this stuff, usually you have to go to like Mouser, DigiKey, that type of place. You need measurements, not only 10 microfarads at 100 volts or more. You need to measure how wide it is, so you know you have enough space in here, but that won't be the case on this particular board because they have plenty of room in that dimension. You're also going to measure the height, make sure you don't get one that's too tall. But probably the most important thing is the lead spacing. So you need to go on the underside of this thing and get under there with your verniers or your dial calipers and measure the lead spacing. And it helps when it's in focus. These are 2.5 millimeter lead spacing, so that will severely limit our options, but we'll get something good. I think that's where we're going to end this video here. I think this is going to be a part 1, and hopefully there's only part 2. Rumor has it that these amplifiers could possibly have conductive boards. If this board is conductive, then you know I'm just going to go to the roof of my apartment here and jump off. But let's hope it doesn't come to that. You know. But there you have it. Cool stuff. Can't wait to fire this sucker up. Oh boy, this is going to be awesome. Alright, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. I sure as shit did. That's for damn sure. And thanks again to the Guitarologist Locals community, everybody on there. SRT Amplification, Busted Junk, et al. You know who you are. And thanks to Guitar CPR, and hope to see you in part 2. Rock on, dudes and dudettes.
Done!